Hello and welcome to part 4 of our realistic head tutorial here with our character Mickey. When last I left you, we had gone through and created the basic mouth, nose, and eye areas. So now we'll get in here and kind of tweak those, make those a little more detailed. So one thing I want to do first off is go ahead and turn off my grid floor. It's a little distracting. Go ahead and turn off the X and Y lines there in the perspective view. If you go to orthographic view and go to wireframe, you can still see we do still have our center of the scene line, the blue line and the red line, so that's, you can still use those. But we'll take those out of perspective so when we're coming around like this, it's not all distracting. So anyways, one other thing I want to do before we jump and do any more on the face is I'm going to go ahead and tab into edit mode and Alt H, unhide everything. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all of these faces down here on the bottom of the model. And that's going to do, well, basically, it's going to do one thing. Go ahead and delete those. You can see it sharpens up the edge there so it doesn't try to round it down around like that. So that's going to be fine because in the, let me find that image. There it is, okay. In this image, in my little 3D self here, the head is a totally separate piece. The head and the neck are one model. Excuse me, then the arms are another model, and the shirt's one, the pants are one, and the shoes are one. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pieces that make up the one, well, I guess 6, 7, the 2 eyeballs. Those are all individual elements. So the head is not really actually connected to the body. It just looks like that because we have a shirt covering it up. So that makes things a little easier, unless you're going to do a character that is going to have a shirt off, like maybe a beach scene or something like that. You don't really need to model, you know, the chest and stuff. You can just do like that. So that's what we're going to do. So if you want to do the rest of the body, feel free. But in this tutorial, we're just going to do the head individually and then the arms and everything. So probably turn it into some chapters, as a matter of fact. I have this head as chapter 1, and then we'll do like the shirt as chapter 2 and the arms 3, so on and so forth. So we'll just have a few different sections of this tutorial set rather than have one big long one. So anyways, we've got that taken care of. Let's go ahead and grab that edge, and I want to extrude it one more time, maybe scale that up a little bit. This will be kind of the start of his shoulders, so when we start on the collar of the shirt, we can actually, you know, see something going into the shirt, so it won't be just in an odd opening there. Oops, grabbed the wrong one. There we go. So we'll just kind of model out just kind of the base definition of the trapezius dorsi here on the back. That's the name of that muscle group. I remember a few muscle groups from high school biology, and mostly because when you go to the gym and work out, that's one of the muscle groups that you focus on if you're doing shrugs or something like that. So okay, so we'll just kind of clean this up, get that rounded out a little bit. Computer's acting a little laggy today. Okay, so I guess that'll work. He's got kind of a long neck, slender guy, so it's no big deal. Okay, the biggest thing I'm noticing is here above, right between the eyebrows, kind of a weird deformation there. So let's clean that up, drag that back in, then maybe grab the eyebrow area itself, drag that out. Tell you what, let's, I know I'm not using the photo reference right now, but I'm kind of just going off of, kind of eyeballing it, as it were. Kind of going off of the general knowledge that I have of having looked at people all my life. So we'll just kind of clean up the eyebrow area there. And I'm going to go ahead and add in, I'm going to grab those guys there. And honestly, I'd like to come out a little further, but we won't worry about that. We'll just go and extrude this out just a bit, turn off our proportional editing so we can scale it down by itself. Just kind of drag that into place, rotate it around a bit. And there we go, maybe scale it on the x-axis a little more. Okay, so now we actually have a brow area that kind of juts out. And we'll just kind of bring the edge of it over a little bit more. Okay, so now we kind of got a squared area coming here. You can see over on this area there. So we'll smooth that out some. Okay, so that's starting to look a little better. This still has a weird thing going on there. Okay, so that's looking a little better. So let's clean it up even more. Let's come in here and bring the center of the eyebrows in a little more. Okay, so that looks a lot better. Okay, now let's go ahead and kind of get the eyelid area shaped a little better. Tell you what, I'm going to grab one of the eyeballs, and let's recreate this. Actually, I'm gonna go back into wireframe view. I'm gonna go Shift S, cursor to selected, and it's gonna put the 3D cursor right there in the center of the eyeball. And it's got too many lines there. I'm gonna go ahead and delete it, and we're gonna make a new one. Same thing, UV sphere, and we'll scale it down to about right there, about 0.11 looks about right. Tab it, undo that. Escape, tap. Delete that. Add another one. I want to change some of the settings on it before I enter into edit mode. So UV sphere, there we go, 0.11. And the rings, this time, we don't need 16 rings. The segments, 16 segments is fine, but the rings, that's the vertical separations. We don't need that many, so let's bump that down. I should go with about 8. And then I kind of modify the iris area as needed. So now we can tab it into mode, rotate it 90 degrees. There we go. And then what I'm going to do, go to our front view, and I'm going to select that loop there, that little circle there. And I'm going to go ahead and extrude it once, scale it down just a little bit, bring it out so it's still rounded. And then I'm going to add a loop right between those two new ones, like so. And I'm going to drag that back, just so we have a visual representation of where the actual iris and the pupil and everything would be. So now we can go ahead and add that mirror. There we go. And the mirror offset will be Micky head, just like we did before. So now go ahead and turn on the subdivision surface, set that to smooth shading, and you can see it's looks a little better now because we can actually see where we'll be looking at and the iris and everything, rather than just a blank sphere in there. Okay, so let's start detailing a little bit more. We'll come back into wireframe view, and let's grab our model there. Let's add a couple more loops in here just so we have more elbow room to work with for the wrinkles and such for the eyelids. So we'll just grab these, move these out, move these in a little bit, and let's move these down. He's kind of got a crease there under his eye, not necessarily like bags under his eyes, but just, you know, he's a little older, so his skin's gonna be well, he's not older per se, he's probably in his 30s, maybe late 20s, but he'll start getting some marks, wrinkles and such here on his skin. So we'll just kind of start accounting for that. Okay, so let's go to solid view so we can kind of see what we're doing a little better. And we can come in here and kind of just carefully come in here and kind of just start adding the skin folds and things. And it might be handy to break out a mirror if you're modeling yourself, so you can kind of see exactly how your eyelids look and how they kind of deform when your eyes are open. Well, I guess they'd have to be open for you to see. I guess you could close one and look at the other, or close one and look at it with the open eye. So that looks a little better. Kind of getting a little more realism in there. Kind of looking weird here, so let's kind of clean that up. Drag that back a little bit more. I'm going to add another loop right here. Control R. And that'll give the option to kind of start bringing this out, because he's kind of squinting, as you can see in here. You got some wrinkles in here. I'm not going to fuss with these too much. We'll add those later on when we go in and start sculpting some detail for the normal map. But this big one here is kind of important, so I'm going to go ahead and model that. A sip of my coffee there. So way we get a nice wrinkle in there is we grab that one, the one's actually coming from the corner of the eye, and drag it inwards just a bit, and then we'll drag this new one there, drag that out a little bit. If we tab out of edit mode, you can kind of see where that's starting to take shape. We'll go ahead and add a loop right in here as well, do the same thing. Bring that up just so the corner of the eye is actually going to be, you know, having some room, some elbow room, as I like to call it, to be indented there, so it actually has some crease with these other edges closer to it. So like so. Okay, so now let's go ahead and clean this up. One thing I've noticed is the outer edge of the eyelid, this area out here, kind of overlaps a little bit the eye itself. So if we come to front view, you can kind of see back here, right here the eyelid is very visible, but the closer you go to the edge, it starts being covered up by that loose skin. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of start covering up, if I select the right one, start covering that up a little bit. Maybe make it a little more fitting there from the middle part. Okay, so that's looking all right. Let's go to our front view again, and we need to come into the, make an indentation in this area right here, just above the eyelid. So we actually, we kind of got it going there, but let's make it a little deeper. About like so. Maybe this area here, make that a little deeper. And this is all nitpicky details, but if you're wanting to make it look really more lifelike, you got to spend a lot of time on these types of things. Okay, so that's a little better. Kind of get some weird roundedness there, so let's smooth that up just a bit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this while we're at it. Okay, so the eye area is looking a lot better than it was. I'm going to go ahead and jump in and try to detail some of the between the nose and the mouth. So let's tab into edit mode, Z into to wireframe view, and let's add a loop right in here. So we can kind of do like we did on the corners of the eye, the crow's feet, as some people call them. And let's add this wrinkle right here, his little smile line there. So I'm going to have to add another loop right there. And we'll use this edge here as the wrinkle. So we'll come in here and start dragging that back. Actually, these need to come forward a little bit because you can see here, his skin's actually coming out. So let's increase the fall off of our proportional editing. And let's bring all these guys forward a bit. About like so. Okay, and then come in here, and it was this line here we're wanting to bring in. So let's go ahead and turn our proportional editing down so we can actually move mostly just that edge. Move it a little further, and then this guy can come forward, and that's going to be the outer edge, as you can see, of that wrinkle. Okay, and then we'll grab this, smooth that in a little more. Okay, so you can kind of see we've got some nice smile lines coming in there now. And these are the ones that really help make the mouth area look more realistic, especially when you're animating. Little wrinkles like here, and then maybe when he's frowning, he might get a little wrinkle down here somewhere. But let's go to our front view, kind of start lining this up a little bit better according to our reference. Okay. All right, so that's looking okay. Since we added those extra loops in there, getting a little bit of weird creasing coming around the chin area. So let's just go ahead and select the whole chin area here. And we'll just hit W smooth and then just repeat that a couple of times. You can see it helps get rid of some of that oddness. And then we can come in here, kind of manually just start bringing that back out according to the reference. And looks like we have under his lip a little bit of a extrusion here. So let's go ahead and bring that forward. Bring these forward. Bring those down a little bit. And let's go ahead and follow the jawline here. And he's got an Adam's apple poking out there, so let's add another loop here so we can compensate for that. Bring that forward like so. Maybe another loop down here so we can sharpen the underside of it a little more. There we go. Okay, so he's starting to look all right. Now we got some weirdness coming in here. It's almost accurate though, because you can see that we have the fairly deep indentation there, but we don't need it in this area. So let's go ahead and select that area there, and do our front view again, and maybe in here just a bit. And then I think I have some of the vertices on the back selected as well. So let's go ahead and W smooth that a bit more. And tell you what, let's do, instead of smoothing it like that, it only smooths what's selected. So we kind of want to smooth everything around it too. So I'm going to jump back into sculpt mode, use the old smooth tool, and just gently brush in here, set the strength down quite a bit. Let's make it 0.25. Then we can just kind of gently come in here and kind of smooth some of this up a little more cleanly than using the edit mode. Smooth. Okay, so we'll also grab the grab tool, and let's go to our side view, and let's just grab like his cheek area and kind of just start sculpting this, excuse me, a little more accurately. So since the side image and the front image don't really line up exactly, we'll have to kind of fudge a little bit. I got the mouth and the chin lined up according to this reference, and the eyes pretty much, but the nose is not. However, the nose is lined up in this image, and the mouth is too, and the eyes. So everything's pretty good except for the nose in this profile, and then the eyebrows here. So let's kind of compromise and kind of go just a little bit further down. Here we'll increase our fall off of our, I guess that's a brick back there, isn't it? So it's actually a little closer than I thought. Okay, I was looking at that. I thought that was the underside of his nose, but that's actually the background. So also, so that's, you know, case in point, if you're taking photo reference of yourself, it's a good idea to have a solid colored background. White, preferably, if you can find a white backdrop somewhere, or even outside with this blue sky behind you. That helps keep things separated when you come to this type of thing here. Okay, so front view, things are looking okay. Looks like he's almost angry there, so let's go back to edit mode, and let's bring some of that brow line down. Okay, so looking pretty good. I'm actually happy with this. Starting to look, let's select everything, kind of move it to the side there so we can kind of get an idea. That's looking fairly close. Close enough for government work, as it were. Let's go ahead and smooth the eyebrows up just a bit. Looking a little weird in this area. Tell you what, let's do. Let's go ahead and add another loop here, and then maybe another loop there, just so we have a little bit more elbow room, so we can clean this up a little bit better, make it a little more of a smooth transition rather than that sharp transition there. And let's just go around the top of the head. Let's get that lined up a little bit better. Okay, so now I use the smooth tool, still selected. Let's make it a little bigger. Just kind of come in here, clean this up a bit. This part will be under his hair, so it's not real important to have perfectly lined up. But, you know, as I say, everything worth doing is worth doing well. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I think that's going to be it for part 4. When we come into part 5, we'll go ahead and start working on the ears and maybe the inside of the mouth. One thing I want to do before we go, though, is since we added those extra loops in there for the wrinkles around the mouth, it also added, you know, edges along the nose. So if we tab in here, you can see we actually have some sharper edges here, so we need to smooth those up. So real quick, back to sculpt mode, still got the smooth tool. Just click in here and just smooth out some of those square looking areas, like in there. I'm going to go ahead and get the grab tool. Where is it at? There we go. And let's grab this part of the nostril there. Just kind of move that down. Round that back out. Drag that down. Just keep that nice and rounded. And maybe in here. Maybe a little more like so. Kind of make it a little rounded there. There we go. Just tweaking here and there. Okay. Looking good, looking good. Let's get right here. Nose bridge. Put our wireframe view so we can see a little better. Just little tweaks. Okay, back to solid view. Okay, so good to go. That's gonna do it for part 4. I'm happy with the progress we made. So like I said, in part 5, we'll jump the ears and maybe start on the inside of the mouth, doing the teeth and the tongue and everything. So okay, that's it for part 4. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in part 5.